Welcome to Glen Burnie, Maryland and Michael's 8th Avenue for the hottest fight club in America, Ballroom Boxing. Hi everybody, I'm Dave Bontempo. Welcome to our show. I'm alongside Jon Saraceno, and I'll tell you, John, not only a great night of boxing tonight, but you know what? We've seen many terrific stories in boxing throughout the years. We've got a little twist of the bizarre tonight.
You must be talking about the great weight caper, Dave.
Exactly right. Henry Buchanan, who was supposed to fight in the super middleweight division, actually came in at 168 instead of 165. Couldn't get the weight down. He had some Gatorade. The weight wasn't coming off. And when the opposing camp made some noise, he said, well, forget it. He can have my purse if he fights me. So $2,000 goes from one fighter to the other. We almost never see that. And, John, what about his beneficiary?
Well, Julio, he's got to be happy. He just had his purse doubled here tonight. A veteran fighter, 36 years old, out of Haiti. All of his losses, David, have been to undefeated fighters. He fought Buddy McGirt's son, Zab Judah's brother, so it's a difficult assignment for him here tonight in the ballroom.
Also on the card tonight, we've got the Dirrell brothers, starting with Andre Dirrell, the bronze medalist at the last Olympics.
A lightning quick fighter, and we've seen him on the Ballroom Boxing show before, Dave, and he's in against Jake Rodriguez, a bulldog tough fighter from Philadelphia, who's also been on the Ballroom Boxing series. This is a step up tonight for the young Dirrell.
Now let's look at his brother, Anthony Dirrell, going against Larry Brothers.
Yes, and Anthony is also a switch hitter, lightning fast, and he is also matched against a guy who's very tough and very durable, so that makes for an interesting styles matchup tonight.
Well, a guy who's fighting Father Time, Reggie, 32 years old, he's 4-0, going against Terrance Watson, still looking for that elusive first win.
Well, Terrance Watson may be in over his head tonight, Dave. He was 8-0 as a kickboxer before somebody convinced him to try regular fighting as a career. He's in tough tonight at the Ballroom.
Well, we've got all kinds of themes tonight, including local bragging rights for Temple Hills, Maryland. Carlos Jones, Jarell-Jackson.
Yeah, Andre Jarell fought Jones in a fight here at the Ballroom Boxing Series, and Jones took the prospect to 4 rounds before getting stopped. It's going to be an interesting night for him, Dave.
Well, quite a night of boxing lined up. Hey, you ever seen a guy play Santa Claus with his purse before?
Never. I've heard fighters being stolen from. That's happened throughout history. I've never heard a fighter stealing from himself, but it happened here tonight.
That is bizarre, and for Julio, it is Christmas after the fact, and it should be interesting to see if there's any bad blood between the two guys playing out in this fight. We get ready for Carlos Jones and Jarell-Jackson. For more on the matchup, here's John Scheinman.
Dave, the last time we saw Carlos Jones, he was in here in the Ballroom fighting Olympic gold medalist Andre Dirrell, and he went 4 tough rounds before getting stopped in the final round in that fight. As a reward, he gets something a little bit easier here. Jarell-Mason Jackson, 0-1 out of Temple Hills, Maryland. He fights for Keystone Boxing. He lost a disputed decision in his debut. He could provide a tough test for Jones, but definitely something easier for Jones. Could be a good one.
All right, we're getting set for the matchup. For the introductions, here's Pat O'Malley.
The Maryland State Athletic Commission Chairman David J. Norman and Executive Director Patrick Bonello. Promoters Scott and Michael J. Wagner and matchmaker Chris Middendorf present this 4-round bout. The referee in charge is Kenny Chevalier, and the judges at ringside, John Gradowski, Bill Holmes, and Malik Waleed. The scorekeeper is Larry Breezy, the timekeeper Tommy Canaris. Introducing the boxers, first to my left, out of the red corner, wearing the black and white trunks. He weighed in at 169.5 pounds. He's from Washington, D.C. His record, 3-5, 2 via the KO. Please welcome to the Ballroom, Carlos, the Headbanger Jones. To my right, out of the blue corner, wearing the burgundy and white trunks, he weighed in at 170 pounds. He comes to us from Temple Hills, Maryland. His record is 0-1. Please welcome to the Ballroom, Jarell-Mason Jackson.
Okay, Jon Saraceno, let's take a look at the matchup at the tail of the tape.
Well, Dave, we got a couple of super middleweights in here. The headbanger, Carlos Jones. Let's hope he's not a head butter. You see the numbers there, fairly even, slight fight reach advantage for Jarell-Jackson, but a huge age discrepancy. Jarell-Jackson, 14 years younger than Carlos Jones.
So, age or experience, which one will be served here tonight? As these fighters both looking for some momentum. There's always some meaning to a fight in boxing, and here you've got the bragging right. So, in the black trunks, it's Carlos Jones. He's 3-5, and Jarell-Jackson backing up as Jones unleashes a right hand and a left hook, and Jones pounds the body, and Carlos Jones getting some nice left hooks off.
Very aggressive start for Jones. Really attacked Jackson to the body.
Now we've got quite a matchup going on in there. Dave Bontempo, Jon Saraceno, and joined by Jimmy Lang. Got some good comments on what's going on here. Jimmy, of course, a veteran of the Ballroom boxing and the Contenders.
I like how he came out and how Jones came out and started working the body.
There's a jab by Jackson as he tries to stay outside, and Jones tries to work his way on the inside. So some spirited action early on, set for 4.
Sometimes when guys know each other, and I don't know that they've sparred together or had any kind of a background together, you end up not getting a fight that's all that good.
And these guys are going against that.
So maybe they don't know each other, or at least in the ring they're unfamiliar.
Maybe they just read a little bit about each other. They know a little bit, but not the whole deal. Hey, you know, that sometimes does happen. You see guys getting complacent, but not here. These guys are both jabbing hard to the bodies, and similar technique. They both want to go behind the jab.
Big right hand.
There's a jab by Jackson. These guys try to play off each other with the jab.
Also, Dave, with a 4-round fight, and Jimmy knows this too, you really got to kind of get to it. You can't waste a lot of time, can you, Jimmy?
Absolutely not. You got to win that first round. If you don't, you kind of got to throw a shutout the rest of the fight.
Yeah, you can't have a round off in a 4-rounder. There's no such thing as a slow start. By contrast, if you get an easy round handed to you in a 4-rounder, it's like gold.
You're you know, coasting downhill.
Well, these guys are slowing down already, though. Looks like it's not as heated as it was in the beginning.
Well, then they'll be happy to hear that first round bell. And it's Jackson pushing Jones back.
Jackson's got a good quick jab. And a nice right hand behind it.
As we come to the end of round 1. Final seconds as Jackson is backing Jones up, and so the battle of the jabs is a good one in the opening round. There's some action from the opening round as these guys trade on the inside, and some good action.
Well, they went right to it, David. Jones and Jackson, that was a close round. As we start round 2, the CompuBox numbers show that both fighters threw about an equal amount of punches. Jackson landed 19 punches, Carlos Jones 13, and Jackson had a better connect percentage of 27%.
Well, you know, they had a mirror image style in the opening round. Both of the jab, trying to set up everything behind it, and a good pace by these guys.
I love Jackson's jab. I think that's the key for him. You know, he's got a little bit of a better jab, and if he stays on the outside and just pinpoints those shots, I think he's going to win.
Carlos Jones, 3-5, 2 knockouts in the black trunks. Jarell-Jackson from Temple Hills, Maryland, along with Jones, 0-1. And yet in that first round, not much separating them. They both had a good idea. They threw a good amount of punches, John, about 70 punches each. Nice pace for these guys.
That's a good output from both fighters. Of course, it's the punches that land are the only ones that are to be scored. So it's effective aggressiveness in the fight. Both fighters showed that in the first round, and we're getting more of it here, Dave, in the second.
as Jackson shook his right hand after he threw a punch, and let's see if he's affected by that.
You can see Jarell Jackson is not a fighter without skills. I mean, he has got some ability.
Question is, can he put some intensity behind this now? And that's such a learning curve.
Only his second pro fight. He missed with the right hand, but then he came right back with it, and it looked like it clipped Jones.
Second round action scheduled for 4 in the super middleweight division. And guys who are well matched.
Well, Jackson's got terrific reflexes, but he's got to remember to move that head, David. He's an awful stationary target.
Well, Jackson just landed 2 nice shots, a right hand and then a left hook right hand combination, as his leverage and balance are working very well.
I think he's waiting on the outside to throw that right hand over Jones's jab.
He's trying to bait him.
Yeah, he's kind of doing a little Roy Jones with the hands down, which I don't like. But he's landed that right hand big a few times, so I think it's, you know, he keeps landing it like that, it's not going to go the full 4.
Boy, 40 years later, Muhammad Ali's legacy still there with everybody trying that up jab.
Yep.
Good right hand here by Carlos Jones, a leaping variety, but it is Jarell Jackson who is getting off the mark first throughout much of this round. His jab has been a friend to him, using it well. Good left hook to the body, and the jab setting things up, and here comes Carlos Jones back with a left hook.
Well, Jones, David, Jones loves that left hook, and he's connected solidly with it through 2 rounds.
Well, we will have an interesting scoring scenario with these opposite punches. Action from the second round. Jackson was heating up.
Well, Jackson again used that good solid left hand, but as Jimmy Lang pointed out, he would drop the right hand in very effectively. Big round for Jackson.
As we start round 3, Dave Bontempo, Jon Saraceno, and Jimmy Lang, and also John Scheinman with the scorecard. What about through 2, John? What's it look like to you?
20-18, 2 rounds to none for Jarell Jackson on my unofficial card, Dave. Where is it written in the rule book that you have to carry your hands down by your waist? Both of these guys really keeping their gloves down low. I don't like the lack of defense. I think the difference here has been Jarell Jackson's hand speed.
Round 3, we are scheduled for 4, and Jarell Jackson last round scored 19 punches out of 56. Both of them in the 30% accuracy range for that round, so they weren't sizzling with their connect percentage, but Jackson was a little busier.
They're both paying for those hands down, though. Basically, the only hard shots have been landed because the hands are down.
Now, why don't the fighters like to put their hands up more, Jimmy?
Well, they're tired. Usually, you know, plain and simple. You get tired.
It's lazy, too.
Yeah. You fight how you practice, and they must practice the wrong way.
Bad habits.
And you jab better from your shoulder anyway.
Well, a lot of guys don't. Sometimes they can do the up jab a little snappier and quicker. So, you know, like you said, Ali did it, and guys try to emulate him. But, you know, there's no Alis out there.
If there are 20 guys who throw an up jab, how many do well, John?
Probably 1.
Yeah.
If that.
The key with the up jab is it can't be an up jab every time. You got to mix it up. It's up jab, you know, maybe 25% of the times. That's when it's effective. But if it's every time, you're going to know it every time.
A swerving up jab. Mix it up a little. So, Jones and Jackson roiled in a good contest here. The first round, the numbers were closer. Second round, Jackson pulling out a little bit.
Jackson's speed, Dave, enables him to counterpunch effectively, and he is just nailing Jones with some solid right-hand counters.
Good right hand by Jones. A left hook by Jackson, driving Jones back, and a good right hand by Jackson. Now he pours on the body assault. Jarell Jackson going to work his best sustained effort, and a good right hand. Jones is in trouble. He's wobbled. A tremendous right hand by Jackson.
It should be over
Jones
soon.
needs to hold on. He's not holding on.
Chevalier
He
ought
wings
to get
it.
in there.
Good right hand by Jackson. He continues to work. Jackson with a jab, a right hand. Jones backing up. Excellent sustained work here by Jarell Jackson. Huge right hand by Jackson. And this might be a 10-8 round for him, but it's his round anyway. Well, it's been a great opening here. Dave Bontempo, Jon Saraceno, Jimmy Lang, glad you're with us. Had some good action from some guys who are unheralded, but they're fighting very well.
Well, Jackson has really shown a lot here for a fighter who's only got one pro fight, David. I'm just really impressed with his style and his ability at this point in his career.
All right, so Jarell-Jackson off to a fine start. John Scheinman, you don't need your scorecard now, do you?
Oh, it's wide open now. I like you said, possible. I gave that a 10-8 round for Jackson, even though there was no knockdown. He's comfortably ahead, 30-26 on my card. He's dominating the fight. Carlos Jones just doesn't know how to defend his head.
Carlos Jones only landing 13 punches in the last round. Jackson throwing 79, so his output has increased substantially, and that's showing up in the quality of his punches as well.
Got to give Jones credit, though. He hadn't taken a backward step. He's gotten hit with some heavy stuff, and he keeps coming. So anything can happen in a fight like that, you know?
Yeah, you know, when you have to get that knockout. He's got 2 knockouts in 8 fights, and I'm sure Jon Saraceno, the thought of a must-win scenario has passed through his head, and he's looking for a miracle now.
Well, if it hasn't passed through his head, his corner should have delivered it between rounds. Jimmy makes a good point. You know what? When you're still willing to gut it out, when it looks like all is lost, when you've been pounded from stem to stern, from turnbuckle to turnbuckle, as Jones has been, you can get lucky with that one shot, and he's trying to get lucky right now, David.
The other angle of it, too, is, you know, you've got maybe a month or 2 to be off and to go back into the gym and work. You've got 3 minutes left. Leave nothing in there. Carlos Jones in the black trunks, 3-5, 2 knockouts. Jarell-Jackson, 0-1, but closing in steadily on his first win. Both fighters from Temple Hills, Maryland, so bragging rights.
And you know what, that intestinal fortitude we're talking about with Jones and Jackson has a lot to do with the fact that they're both from the same hometown.
Hey, you don't want to walk around and have somebody say, yeah, I saw that fight. You didn't do your best. In fact, I think you quit.
Yeah, you're going to hear a lot of that if you don't have major output. And although we have Carlos Jones trailing unofficially on all our cards, he's trying to make it a fight, Dave.
He is, and you know, that's the beauty of 4-rounders. These guys have not taken any time off. It's been a wire-to-wire performance in terms of intensity. And these guys are well matched.
Good job by Chris Mittendorf, the chief matchmaker for Scott and Mike Wagner here at the Ballroom Boxing Series in Glen Burnie, Maryland.
So Jones pushing Jackson back. Now, Jones enjoyed a more aggressive 4th round. Maybe he gets it, but the hole he dug for himself may come back to bite him. Well, quite a performance for Jarell-Jackson. He comes in here and probably gets his first win, John, with a nice stand-up performance, and he found another gear in round 3.
Very impressive young fighter who's a boxer and a puncher. As we see in the 3rd round, there's that right hand, and then digging down the left hook to the body. He showed he could hook off the jab tonight, throw the jab of the right hand, an excellent counter puncher, and a great combination puncher. So he really put on a very impressive performance. And you see he had Jones backed up against the ropes, David, many times throughout this fight. And Jones really could not find a style that could solve that problem. And when you're getting cracked with those right hands, boy, it's a long night.
You can't win from there. He's in the back trying to come out of it, and Jackson is pummeling him here. Now, the corner may show him this fight afterward and say, see, how did you ever lose a fight? Look at this. This is the way you want to come back and show your intensity. The jab set everything up. He had good leverage.
He really showed his skills tonight, and for a young fighter, he's really on the way up.
Well, we've got everything but the decision, and Pat O'Malley will give that to us now.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. We go to the scorecards for the verdict. Judge John Gradowski scores it 39-37. Judge Bill Holmes scores it 40-36. And Judge Malik Waleed scores it 39-37. And the winner, by unanimous decision, his first professional victory, Jarell-Mason Jackson.
Well, Jarell-Jackson with a nice performance, and it's good to know you don't have to worry as you go down the stretch in a fight. And he is moving his way over. He is with Jon Scheinman. Go ahead, Jon.
Well, I guess this makes you the super middleweight champion at Temple Hills. How much did you know about Carlos Jones coming into this fight?
Well, I didn't know too much. He was a pretty good fighter. I fought the best that I could. He fought the best he could.
He had his hands down a lot throughout the fight. It seemed like you capitalized with your hand speed. Was that, when did you realize you could really get to him?
Well, after like midway through the first round, I realized I was much faster than him, stronger than him. Although he was strong, but I thought I was much stronger than him.
Well, Jarell Jackson getting his first win of his career. He does it against a crosstown guy. Let's go back to ringside.
Okay, thank you, Jon, and a nice performance there by Jackson. He comes up with the victory. Much more coming your way on Ballroom Boxing. Stay right with us. We've got Reggie Holly and Terrance Watson straight ahead. For a scouting report, here's Jon Scheinman.
Dave, Reggie Holly 4-0, but 32 years old. Time's not on his side. Interesting thing about this guy, in his last fight, he fought on the undercard of a Layla Ali championship fight. It began to rain so hard during his fight, they stopped it in the second round because of rain. I don't know of any other time that happened. His opponent tonight, Terrance Watson, was 8-0 as a kickboxer, decided he wanted to try to make a little more money in the pro boxing game. He's 0-2, he hasn't done so well. Let's see what happens again tonight.
All right, Jon, now for the introductions, let's go to Pat O'Malley.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for more Ballroom Boxing. This 4-round bout in the welterweight division, the referee in charge will be Bill Holmes. Judging the bout at ringside, Kenny Chevalier, John Gradowski, and Malik Waleed. Your scorekeeper is Larry Breezy, and the timekeeper is Tommy Canaris. Introducing the boxers. First to my right, out of the blue corner, wearing the red trunks with white. He weighed in at 146.5 pounds. He comes to us from Danville, Virginia. His record, 0-2. Please welcome terrible Terrance Watson. To my left, out of the red corner, wearing the white trunks trimmed in red. He weighed in at 142.25 pounds. He hails from Washington, D.C. His record, 4-0, 2 via the KO. Please welcome to the ballroom, Reggie, the Mechanic Holly. Referee Bill Holmes with the instructions.
Okay, gentlemen, you receive your instructions in the dressing room. Protect yourselves at all times. Obey my commands. Touch them up.
We have a scheduled 4 round.
Let's take a look at the tail of the tape, Jon. Holly and Watson.
Well, I've never heard that nickname, the Mechanic, Reggie Holly. Let's see if he can get under the hood of Terrance Watson a little bit here tonight. You see both fighters under the welterweight, traditional welterweight limit of 147. Reggie Holly, 12 years older, Dave, than Terrance Watson.
All right, so the Mechanic, Reggie Holly, also with a substantial looking reach advantage. Hey, look on the paper, it may not appear to be that much, but you look at them near each other, and effectively, Watson has the ability to have the reach advantage here on Terrance Watson. Southpaw style for Reggie Holly. Dave Bontempo, Jon Saraceno, Jimmy Lang. And Jimmy, you see a guy lining up there, the southpaw, the old thinking as the lead right hand. Is that a good weapon here for Watson?
Well, I think so. As with anything, you got to establish your jab. As soon as your jab starts landing, you can land that straight left hand. It don't matter if you're southpaw or conventional. You touch him with one, you touch him with the other.
Terrance Watson trying to get the first win, and Reggie Holly coming in at 4-0. And a good combination here by Holly. Backs up Watson.
Stop, break.
And then they force intervention. And you could just see, looking at Holly, how easy he could make this fight for himself if he decided to stay outside and jab. It is there for him.
we've seen a lot of southpaws in the Ballroom Boxing Series, more left-handers than I think I've ever seen anywhere. And it's always an interesting thing to see that matchup, isn't it, Jimmy?
Yeah, sometimes it makes for a great fight. Sometimes it's just a snooze fest. But it looks like he's trying to press the action, which would be against my advice. I would, if I was him, I'd stay on the outside and pick him apart with the jab. He seems to be lunging in a little bit, which I don't like.
Throughout the years in boxing, many guys became southpaws just because their trainers were southpaw, and that's how they were forced to learn. That was the style their trainers knew. And then you go like internationally, like the Cuban team, all lefties, you know, and they were they came in, and it's always somebody go, I hate to fight a southpaw. Why do people hate fighting southpaw so much, Jimmy?
I don't know. For me, I don't mind. I mean, there's so many around now. It's not like it used to be. It used to be such it wasn't ordinary, you know. It was a rare thing to find a southpaw. Now there's so many, you get to work with so many. I don't think it really matters.
I like it when there's two lefties and then neither guy can complain.
Right.
Reggie Holly in the white trunks. He's the left-hander, 4-0. And Terrance Watson in the red trunks, 0-2. Trying to get his lead right hand going, and Holly's keeping him at bay as we come to the end of the opening round. Round 2 scheduled for 4. Reggie Holly in the white trunks and Terrance Watson, his opponent, in the red trunks. And some unusual numbers from the first round as Holly swarming Terrance Watson. Holly only landed 5 punches, but John, that gives him a landslide.
Yeah, Watson's 0% connect percentage because he didn't land a shot. Threw 15 punches, and according to CompuBox, none hit the mark. You know what? I think when you got a left-hander in there, Jimmy, maybe you could talk about this. You have to be more aggressive against a southpaw, don't you?
Well, there's a way to fight a southpaw. What Watson's doing is he's moving to his right. You got to move the other way and come back. He's moving right into his left hand. You got to come back.
And that's his power punch.
Yeah. I mean, that's
theoretically.
I don't know if that's just bad coaching or if he's just losing focus. But I think any fighter knows that you got to move to his left.
I've only seen one goose egg in the history of punch stats as Holly starts to come on. Vinny Pazienza against Roy Jones.
Yep.
And not only do you see a 0, but from a guy who throws whirlwind punches, too. Pazienza threw a lot of punches, but he got none in that 4th round of his fight against Roy Jones.
It was a very windy round for him.
It was. Yeah, I mean, to get a 0, it's almost impossible. Something has to land by accident. So it gives you the startling perspective of Watson being unable to land.
And Paz was entertaining back in the day. I mean, he was an entertaining fighter. Not a big puncher, but always came to fight and made for a good show.
Benny Leonard is the only man to ever win a round without throwing a punch. I don't know if you knew that.
Actually, I remember that. Who was that against?
You remember Benny Leonard?
Hey, watch it now. Yeah? Now remember, Jimmy, you're sitting right next to me.
I don't want to get beat up.
As Reggie Holly and Terrance Watson try to improve their punching percentages.
Bontempo may remember Benny Leonard, right?
I'm afraid I do.
Ringside. No, he means watched his fights live. That's what he means.
I meant on tape. Holly opening up here, has all the things going his way against Terrance Watson. And you're getting a look as Watson takes it away of what reach has done for Holly. That right hand lead by Watson served a reminder that he's here.
Well, he's having a hard time getting his feet underneath him. They're tripping up, which happens when you have this contrasting style.
So Reggie Holly has his fight going just the way he wants. Halfway through. Well, you've got the guy on the outside doing some very good work. That's Reggie Holly. And Terrance Watson gets a moral victory. He lands 3 punches, and that was one of them. So into round 3 we go. Reggie Holly versus Terrance Watson. Holly is in the white trunks and coming in at 4-0. Terrance Watson 0-2. And 0 for round 1. Then he landed a little bit in round 2, but definitely a lot less than Holly. And Jon Scheinman, I think this is also an easy one for you so far on the scorecard.
Yeah, I didn't even have to get the abacus out for this one. 2018 Reggie Holly on my unofficial card. You know something, Dave, in my experience, fighters that come out of the kickboxing game aren't usually good punchers, and this guy doesn't seem to punch well. He doesn't flow naturally, and that's a problem here.
And as the mouthpiece goes out, when that is retrieved, the natural action, and finally Watson is signaling to the referee, but he's waiting for the natural edge in the action. You have to create a natural point so that you are not giving yourself an advantage via the break.
Well, I can tell you, Terrance Watson is used to kickboxing. He doesn't understand the rules of boxing, and there's not a natural break. You can't ask for it.
And he's in trouble here. This is major difficulty mounting up.
Well, this is what happens when you really step out of your profession, and I'm sure Jimmy Lang can speak to that.
Absolutely.
However, we do have a natural time, and this is about right now to get that mouthpiece taken care of. Yeah, the other thing to follow up, guys coming from the kickboxing rank, a lot of times they don't have very good chins either. They haven't been hit the same way.
Yeah, it's much different. This is a very dangerous business. I would never want to go into a kickboxing ring. I mean, it's just, you kind of want to stick to what you do, what you're trained for.
And there's a right hook coming in from Reggie Holly. Now, you don't see boxers going into kickboxing. You see the kickboxers coming into boxing because of the absence of money in kickboxing.
Boxers are a little smarter, too. I wouldn't want to get kicked.
Terrance Watson throwing those looping, telegraphed right hands. Really ineffective with that punch tonight.
And Holly backing up, but sticking out the jab. And he's done enough with the jab to make this an easy fight for himself tonight.
No question. Warning by referee Bill Holmes. I'm not sure what that was for. Holding, perhaps, using the head.
The right hook by Holly. You know, trainers cringe when the guys don't make it easy for themselves when they have the tools to do it.
Step back.
I think sometimes when you get a guy who's in there just to survive, and it looks like that's what Watson's in there for most of the time, it's really hard to get him out of there. And young fighters especially, they're looking for that knockout, and they get over anxious. That's what the mechanic is doing here. He's lunging in and looking for that knockout.
Well, Reggie Holly is more of a mechanic in that respect tonight. He's being very deliberate and has had himself a nice lead through 3. Well, 3 rounds complete. Reggie Holly doing exactly what he wants. Dave Bontempo, Jon Saraceno, Jimmy Lang. Some good action here so far. Holly's doing everything.
Another great fight at the Ballroom Boxing Series. We've got a couple of fighters in here, an ex-kickboxer, which is made really for an interesting matchup.
As you see, Holly doing exactly what he wants on the outside, the jab, and Terrance Watson just taking it, and that led up to the mouthpiece finally being retrieved. So here we are in round 4. Reggie Holly, 4-0, well on his way to number 5. Terrance Watson trying to get off the schneid. And hey, Jon Scheinman, no trouble scoring so far tonight.
Yeah, this one's really lopsided, 30-27. I just think Watson got it into his head, hey, I can't beat this guy, and I'm just going to ride this out. Not the kind of fight we usually see in the ballroom, and you heard some jeers at the end of the last round. They're used to action. They're used to guys giving 100%, and this guy's giving 100% to protect himself, not to win.
Well, you got to wonder how many southpaw kickboxers he's fought, because he looks totally befuddled, Dave.
Yeah, that's a double whammy.
And you got to wonder about his manager, if he has one, to put him in a fight like this with only 2 professional fights.
Now, usually somebody talks you into something like that. He's a 4-0, but he hasn't fought anybody. He's a bad 4-0. You just love to hear how you have to talk guys into certain fights, and then you get in there and say, wait a minute. What was I sold here?
Yeah.
Not that we know that that's the case for this fight,
right.
but he does seem way out of his element, stylistically. And sometimes a manager does this to a fighter to convince him to quit.
Right. You're doing the wrong thing. You should stick to kickboxing. Very good point. Oh, you want it? You're a fighter, huh? You want to be a fighter? Okay. How about Reggie Holly? Oh, yeah, I'll take him on.
And not only that, you can be befuddled. And for Reggie Holly, it's a dream matchup as the right hook gets in there. In some ways, more satisfying than a knockout because everything he's doing, Jimmy, is working for him. And that's a nice feeling after a fight to know that everything you worked on was the right thing.
Absolutely. Plus, young fighters, a lot of times they get a whole bunch of one-round knockouts, and they're not learning on the job. You know, he's getting rounds in, and I think this is a great fight for him. Rounds in, confidence, everything's going good for him.
Right hooks here by Holly. He's getting target practice, and his opponent can't pull the trigger on that right hand lead against him. It's always interesting, John, how when you go a little while and then the guy doesn't hit you, how your offense just automatically picks up when you look at Holly.
Well, you know, when you don't have anybody punching back effectively, it's pretty good to have a good offense. And when it comes to the lead right hand, I'm not so sure that Watson even knows he's supposed to throw a lead right hand against a southpaw.
Today, he doesn't have to.
Yeah, it's something that all somebody has to do is tell him that. So, good effort by Holly here. He takes what's being offered, and it's a Matador Bull scenario. And the Matador, Reggie Holly, will get this one easily. Well, Reggie Holly certainly made this one look very easy. It was a dream matchup for him as his opponent was there to survive and make him look good, which he was able to do, standing on the outside, and he was able to jab, move, and find a guy that was pretty stationary, and so Reggie Holly unleashed everything in the arsenal tonight, and he will make his record 5-0. Did just about everything that was asked of him in impressive fashion. Well, how easy did he make it? Let's get the final numbers now from Pat O'Malley.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. We go to the scorecards. All three judges, John Gradowski, Kenny Chevalier, and Malik Waleed, score it 40-36. The winner by unanimous decision, Reggie the Mechanic Holly.
We'll be back with more Ballroom Boxing after this. So Reggie Holly goes to 5-0. He's with John Scheinman now. Go ahead, John.
Now let's see, too long, too tall, too much hand speed, and a southpaw. Looks like you had it all over Terrance Watson. Do you have any idea going in was going to be that easy for you?
No, actually I haven't. I haven't fought in a few months. You know, it's been a long layoff, but got my trainer, Andrew, Jeff, Roach. I mean, they really been working with me in the gym. Thanks for all the good sparring. You know, but I was shocked that it was as easy as it was, so.
How does it feel when you're getting everything off that you're throwing? I mean, when you're just so dominant, do you maybe get a little complacent, or was your head in the game the whole way?
No, my trainer told me to just stay focused. You stay focused because he was looking for a lot of wild shots. And I noticed that he covered up a lot, which means I wasn't going to be able to get a lot of clean shots, so I had to pity-pat a little bit sometimes. But I stayed focused the whole time throughout because of one wild shot sometimes can have you sitting down.
Were you anxious at all to try to get a knockout, considering he was barely firing back, or were you just comfortable boxing to decision?
I was comfortable today boxing. It takes two to fight. Now, if he don't throw nothing, them punches when they was hitting him, only time a man say come on is when he hurt. He really don't want you to come on. And I know that, so I had to do what I had to do. We'll go home. A win is a win.
Reggie, 5-0 now, nice number, but you're 32 years old. Do you feel under pressure to get it going right now, or are you comfortable where you are?
Age is only in your mind. You know, look at Bernard, he almost 40. He's still doing it. I look good doing what I do at 32. You gotta put that time in the gym. He lucky the monster didn't come out tonight, because if he'd have saw that, we'd have got it over with quick.
Maybe next time in the ballroom we'll see the monster come out. This was pretty good performance though. Reggie Holly going to 5-0, back to ringside.
All right, John. Well, I guess, John, I guess you and I are 25. That's how old I think I am right now.
And I don't want to see that monster.
Well, the stylistic matchup became a gift. Reggie Holly said, thank you very much. We'll be back with more Ballroom Boxing after this. Welcome back to Ballroom Boxing. Dave Bontempo along with Jon Saraceno. And say hello to our good friend Larry Michael tonight, John, whose Cal Ripken streak ended for Ballroom Boxing tonight.
The Iron Man of Ballroom Boxing. We wish Larry well. He's out broadcasting basketball. We'll see you next time, champ.
The action is heating up on Ballroom Boxing. Anthony Dirrell and Larry Brothers for a scouting report. Here's John Scheinman.
Dave, this is the first of the two Dirrell brothers. These were top amateur fighters. Anthony Dirrell was derailed in the Olympic trials going to Athens in 2004 by a Shelly Finkel prospect named Nick Casal, but he's 2-0 with 2 KOs as a pro. This is an electrifying fighter we're about to see in the ring tonight. His opponent, Larry Brothers, he's only got a record of 5-13-2, but let me tell you something, he's rugged, he's rough and tough. 4 fights back, he beat a fighter who was 8-0, Eric Sims. He's a live underdog, a bulldog kind of a fighter. Good test for Dirrell.
All right, so that's the way they stack up. For the introductions, we'll go to Pat O'Malley.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for more Ballroom Boxing. This 4-round bout in the super middleweight division, the referee in charge, Malik Waleed. The judges at ringside are Kenny Chevalier, Bill Holmes, and John Gradowski. Your scorekeeper is Larry Breezy. The timekeeper is Tommy Canaris. Introducing the boxers. First to my right, out of the blue corner, wearing the solid black trunks. He weighed in at 162 3/4 pounds. He comes to us from the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. His record, 5-13-2, 4 via the KO. Please welcome to the ballroom, Larry, the Gladiator Brothers. To my left, out of the red corner, wearing the white trunks trimmed in black. He weighed in at 166.5 pounds. He comes to us by way of Flint, Michigan. His record, a perfect 2-0, both by KO. Please welcome to the ballroom again, Anthony the Dog Dirrell. Referee Malik Waleed with the instructions.
Chief seconds. Okay, fellas, listen up. I expect good, clean boxing. When I say break, you both ought to stop punching, take a full step back, and remember, protect yourselves at all times. Touch them up. Good luck to you both.
All right, John, what about this matchup? Tail of the tape.
Well, the tail of the tape tells a lot from the height disadvantage for Larry Brothers, only 5'8", to the reach advantage for Anthony Dirrell. No matter whether we're talking the linear reach or the actual fight reach, to the age, 20 years difference, David.
I'll tell you what, he is not going to like looking at numbers. As Anthony Dirrell and Larry Brothers in here. Anthony Dirrell with 2 fights. Debuted with a knockout over Henry Dukes, January 27th, 05 in the first round, and then he scored a second round knockout over Dwayne Warren on February 11th. And you take a look, and this is what imposing reach looks like, and that will be ruled a knockdown. It will. Could have been a slip.
I think he caught him right above the ear.
They call it. So, without expending much energy, Anthony Dirrell is a knockdown. And let's see what he does here. If this motivates him to go into another category. Now he goes lefty.
Well, Larry Brothers has been a rugged journeyman, but getting out of this first round is very key for him, particularly when he's 40 years old. He has been stopped 5 times in his career, as recently as last fall against Giovanni Lorenzo up in Pennsylvania in the second round.
It's a good shot by Dirrell. And mouthpiece already out for Brothers. But again, you have to have a natural break in the action, and Brothers in deep trouble. Will he get through this round? He fires the right hand.
He's fighting on sheer guts right now. He doesn't even know where he is. And this fight, I don't think has long to go, Larry.
And he was nailed. That's all right, John.
Excuse me, David. Bad habits.
We were talking about Larry and the Ripken streak. You were just used to it. Dave Bontempo and Jon Saraceno, along with Jimmy Lang here at Michael's 8th Avenue in Glen Burnie, Maryland. Hey, Larry's been a partner of mine, too.
Yeah. Well, Malik Waleed, the referee, is watching Larry Brothers very carefully, and his legs are not under him, David.
These are Jello legs, to be sure. And how much more of it does he want? Malik Waleed will look into the eyes of Larry Brothers and decide how much does this guy want to fight.
You know what? This is where you get an old man hurt. I think the fight should be stopped.
I think it will be right now, too, John.
I don't agree with this. And Malik Waleed's a very good referee, but you got a 40-year-old man who's being teed off on by a 20-year-old bull.
He looks into the eyes of Brothers and keeps it going. And a big left hand by Anthony Dirrell.
I mean, Brothers has nothing on his punches. He's out on his feet.
A standing 8 count is used. And this is a knockdown. And in unified rules, they don't even have this to go to.
I mean, this is he's too overmatched. They ought to stop it.
And the round comes to an end.
That's Gunther
Moments
Charters.
into the fight.
766-04.
It's already going bad for Larry Brothers as he was down, and then it happened later on as he got clipped coming in, and the gloves touched. Gloves touched the canvas. You've got a knockdown. Second round action scheduled for 4 or much less. Anthony Dirrell and Larry Brothers. Dirrell from Flint, Michigan, good right hook. Brothers only landed 2 punches. He was down a couple times. Dirrell with 30 punches, and Brothers overmatched.
I think I saw that look in Brothers' eyes, you know, where he knows it's just a matter of time. You know?
Well, a guy comes into a fight knowing if he's got a chance to be competitive based on his conditioning or if he doesn't have a chance. And in that first round, the look in Larry Brothers' eyes was he did not figure he had a chance to stay.
He knows, and this is when fighters get hurt at the end of their career, when they're older, when they can't get out of the way, when their brains are being jarred. And I just don't agree with this. I think the fight should be stopped. I think it's a mismatch.
Good right hands, and here is your stoppage, perhaps. The towel comes in before the referee had to officially decide. So somebody was listening, and they do the right thing in that corner. What's the one about the guy saying, was he your bravest opponent? No, his manager was.
You're right. In that case, that's the truth. And if Larry Brothers is self-managed, shame on him for taking the fight because really, he was overmatched.
Yeah, you go in there with the Dirrell clan, the reputation that these fighters have. And you know that his brother Andre was a bronze medal winner. So you know that it runs in the family. You're deeply overmatched. But you get talked into the matchup and you find out right away that you don't belong here.
That is some backflip by Mr. Dirrell.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're becoming a Dirrell Brothers fan,
Remember,
Dirrell
Terrance
Brothers
Ali
t-shirts
used to have those big
are on sale here
backflips
tonight. Cornell
after his
Bass
victory.
holding one up
Well,
here. $13.
See
See Cornell Bass and
at
crew
one
from
half of the
Dirrell
Dirrell
Brothers.
tandem.
15.
And
Just
that's
went
the
up
guy who didn't
$2.
win a medal.
I know.
Cornell told me 13. What the hell is it? 13.
Got a long way to go. I don't know what we
Oh
learned
yeah, he's going to
about
get a kickback at $2.
this
So
Dirrell,
it's $15 a
against
t-shirt.
Larry Brothers. We're going to see his brother in a little while. We're going to see a lot more.
Well, you learn that he can stay in the gym. Basically, they tell him you're fighting on this date. It gives you an excuse to go into the gym and train. But based on this, they will have to start stepping him up.
Yeah, there becomes a point where he's going to have to fight more than mere journeyman.
Well, you've seen the action. You've seen the replays. Now let's go to Pat O'Malley.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. The winner by TKO at 114 of round 2, Anthony the Dog Dirrell.
Well, no surprise there. Anthony Dirrell moves his mark up. and knows he can go past these guys, but he has to be a little upset. So he wants some stiffer competition, I'm sure.
Well, I don't know if he's upset.
Dirrell Brothers T-shirts
so
now
easy
$50.
that,
No, $15. Cornell Benson, he got up to 50. He's going to get a big cut on this.
God, that Larry Brothers was spared. As you see here in the replay of this short fight, Anthony Dirrell, uppercut jolting on the inside. Brothers nowhere to go. There comes the long looping right hand. It was all bullseye tonight for Anthony Dirrell.
And it's the corner which stops the fight. The referee was coming in. He was either going to wave it off, starting to do that, and the towel was there at the same time. So the fighter making his way over to Jon Scheinman, and after we come back from break, he'll talk about it. Stay with us. Welcome back to Ballroom Boxing. Now, let's go to a very special interview.
Well, Anthony, I think we just established that unless it's somebody like me with a microphone, they shouldn't put a small man in front of you. Absolutely dominant performance.
Oh, yeah, I picked him apart out there. You know, he was a little bit too small, and I used my jab on him, followed by the right hand. You know, I double up on the jab sometimes, then switch up on him, confuse him a little bit. So that's what I did this fight.
Left hook that put him down to start the demise. Jimmy Lang, one of our co-announcers, thought it was right up behind the ear. Did you sense it was that hard a punch?
Ladies and gentlemen, this time we're going to take an intermission.
Oh, yeah.
Intermission, and we have 3 more fights coming up,
I hit him right where I wanted to.
including another one with a Dirrell brother, Andre, and Sugar Poo Buchanan coming up a little bit later.
How do you feel about the direction of your career so far? 3-0. It's a good high-profile fight for you being on the Ballroom. Are you getting the work you need?
Dirrell Brothers T-shirts, $15.
Oh, yeah,
if you want Cornell Bass to sign it, it's $100.
I got to just step up and do my thing. I'm one person, so I got to do my thing right now.
Well, that's interesting. You mentioned that your brother, the gold medal winner, and you just got stopped short of going to Athens. Do you feel like you have something to prove all the time? And is it that important for you to get out from under your brother's shadow?
Oh, yeah, I have a lot to prove because, you know, they think I'm just in my brother's shadow and coming up, you know, ain't got nothing, so I got to prove them wrong.
Spectacular performances like this ought to get it done. Anthony Dirrell, 3-0. Let's go back to ringside.
Well, eventually the brothers do break away and get their own reputations, but in the beginning, they're a tandem and it helps both of them out. We've got more Ballroom Boxing coming your way. Stay right there. We'll have it for you shortly. Welcome back to Ballroom Boxing. Dave Bontempo and Jon Saraceno, and there is some excitement in the house as Andre Dirrell starts to make his way through. Andre Dirrell, of course, John, the bronze medalist, and a lot of anticipation for him.
Oh, there really is. A lot of people are asking a lot of questions about Andre Dirrell. A lightning-fast fighter who can fight left-handed and right-handed and bring some excitement to the game of boxing.
So, that's a look at the fighter. Let's take a look at the profile from Jon Scheinman.
Well, I just have a little interesting aside here for you, Dave. A lot of people might not know this, but Andre Dirrell's grandfather is Leon Lawson, who used to be a sparring partner for Muhammad Ali. And he was the one who taught Andre Dirrell to box. There was a point early on in his career that Dirrell decided, I'm not really into this, and he thought about giving up the game. Lawson put his foot down. He said, you've got the skills to go all the way, and he forced him to stay in boxing. Now Lawson works his corner. His grandfather works his corner. The opponent tonight, Jake Rodriguez, real quickly, is a bulldog of a fighter, real rough and tough guy, and they're hoping that he can give Dirrell some rounds.
He learned from Ali's sparring partner, huh? Float like a butterfly? Sting like a sparring partner? Well, you know what? It works for him. He's got that guidance. And we are ready to go and see what he's got in this fight. For the introductions, here's Pat O'Malley.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time now for more Ballroom Boxing. This will be a super middleweight bout, 4 rounds, and your referee in charge is Malik Waleed. Judging the bout at ringside, Kenny Chevalier, John Gradowski, and Bill Holmes. Your scorekeeper is Larry Breezy. The timekeeper is Tommy Canaris. Introducing the boxers. First to my right, out of the blue corner, wearing the black trunks. He weighed in at 166. He's from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. His record, 6-12, 5 via the KO. Please welcome to the ballroom, Jake the Snake Rodriguez. Vasquez. To my left, out of the red corner, wearing the black trunks trimmed in blue. He weighed in at 168 3/4 pounds. He's from Flint, Michigan. And yes, he is the other Dirrell brother. His record 2-0, 2 via the KO. A bronze medalist in the 2004 Summer Olympics in Greece. Please welcome to the ballroom, the Matrix, Andre Dirrell. Malik Waleed with the instructions.
All right. Let's go. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Okay, fellas, listen up. I expect good, clean boxing. When I say break, you both ought to stop punching, take a full step back, and remember, protect yourselves at all times. Touch them up. Good luck to you both.
What about this matchup, John?
Scheduled 4 rounds.
Once again, we have a Dirrell brother that has a significant advantage in all the things you'd like to see. He's taller, bigger, stronger, younger. Fighter on the way up against longtime Bulldog, tough guy, Jake Rodriguez.
Let's see what kind of a fight Jake Rodriguez puts up and what we learn from Andre Dirrell, who has been making quick work of his opponents. Dirrell, left-hander. Saw him very early on in his career, a knockout over Carlos Jones and then Walter Coles. 2 knockouts in a short period of time. Some people say that when he turns it on, he should go all the way, and he needs to put more together during the course of his fights. And let's see if he learns as he goes along and tries to juggle the entertainment aspect with the boxing aspect. Dave Bontempo, Jon Saraceno, and Jimmy Lang with you here at ringside, Michael's 8th Avenue, and Ballroom Boxing. Big uppercut there, and exactly the point being made. The pirouette after the uppercut.
Not professional, and guys are trying to get attention. I mean, guys want to build their names, their reputations. They want to be entertaining. You see how overmatched Jake Rodriguez is as he's down.
Down for the first time. And based on what Dirrell just threw, probably not the last.
Put him to me. Okay.
He ran into some lightning quick body shots there.
Yeah, I mean, he's never seen speed like this. And Rodriguez has been on the Ballroom show many, many times. But he's now lost 7 of his last 8 fights, David. And this is an almost impossible task.
And here's Dirrell leaning out, left hook, right hand. Hot-shotting here, gets the jab in. And you see the raw weapons, the uppercut, and then the jab and the right hand. If they all get put together, it will be quite a thing. Now, Jimmy, why do you think he's showing flashes and throughout his early fights not putting it all together?
I mean, it's a long process to put things together. I like his poise right now. He's not rushing in. He's taking his time. I think he's doing what he's supposed to. I could do without the extra pirouettes and flashiness, because I think he does have to hone his game, but everybody does their own thing.
No question.
So
Let's go.
Dirrell warned about the push, and he goes back to the southpaw stance. He has a knockdown, a near knockdown, and a slip
No.
recorded in this round.
Clean. Stay off the back of the head.
And
right,
good
keep
warning
him up.
there
Let's go.
by Malik Waleed on the idea of Dirrell holding behind the head to set up his next shot.
Jake Rodriguez turned professional, Dave, in 1997, but had a 6-year layoff and only resumed in 2003, so he's had a very uneven career.
Now this is big uppercut he takes there and a hook at the bell.
Listen to the bell. You all right?
That was punitive. Well, big round for Dirrell as he scores a knockdown and shows a lot of tools and flashes some weaponry in round 1 of this fight.
Well, Rodriguez is in deep, Dave, and he really knows it. You see that knockdown in the first round. He just practically chased him out of the ring, Jimmy.
Yeah, once again, it's overmatched, but But they'll slowly step this kid up. I see a lot of promise here. This kid's very special.
He's got a lot of natural tools to work with.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Dirrell landed 17 punches out of 55 thrown, and Rodriguez was 1 for 11. And we've seen some anemic punch totals by the losing fighters on this card tonight. We've seen a 0, we've seen a couple of 1s, and that has to be extremely frustrating. It's one thing to get hit, but you want to get yours.
As great as this kid is with these flashes, something young fighters nowadays, they kind of forget are the basics. The basics are what makes you great.
And there's a knockdown with a combination of punches.
Body shot.
Any one of them could have done the damage. Does Jake want more? No, he takes it on his knee. And it's a sign right there of how strong Dirrell is. Rodriguez, at the count of 6, could have gotten up, but he made a decision on his stool. And that was the end of the deal right there.
Oh, there's Andre Dirrell. Very impressive performance. Of course, his opponent was overmatched. Let's call it like it is.
Yes, it was.
I think we're going to get to a replay here in this second round.
Take a look at the body work here by Dirrell. Just going to work, and this is the final sequence of the fight, that left hook to the body. Almost an afterthought knockdown. He wobbles, he waits, and then later on, he will go down. You get a good indication of the leverage that Dirrell is showing here as he tees off. Look at everything he's getting in there, John.
Well, and speed is power, and he really has a lot of speed. Natural hand and foot speed, tremendous reflexes. And Larry, Michael and I talked about this the first time he fought on Ballroom Series earlier this year. I think he has as much natural ability as any fighter we've seen in Ballroom Series in a decade.
A lot. He reminds me of a young Jermaine Taylor with that power and the leverage and the way he uses it. Look at the perfect position he's in every time he does everything.
He's got a lot of poise. And having said all that, he does need to learn the professional game. And it's going to be a step up when he fights fighters who really know how to fight and or live opponents in there with him. And that wasn't the case tonight. That's not his fault. He did what he was supposed to do, which was to blow the guy out of there. He probably could have blown him out sooner if he wanted.
And what you're watching now is probably the latter stages of these walkover type fights for him, because now he's getting television exposure. The money will go up, the stakes will go up, and the quality of the opponents will go up, and we will go up to Pat O'Malley and get the final numbers.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. The winner by knockout, his 3rd consecutive knockout. He's now 3-0. Round 2, 112 of round 2. The Matrix, Andre Dirrell.
So Andre Dirrell getting it done, and his opponent unable to land a punch in round 2, so Jake Rodriguez goes down for 1 punch landed for the entire 2 rounds. And here's more of what he's doing right.
Well, that's his clamshell defense, for lack of a better word, because Jake really didn't know what to do, and you can't blame Jake. He's in over his head there, and he has been a durable, rugged journeyman throughout his career, but he has never, ever faced a young, upcoming star like Andre Dirrell tonight.
So the Dirrell family hardly breaking a sweat on their card tonight. And after we come back from break, they'll talk about it. Stay with us. Welcome back to Ballroom Boxing. Andre Dirrell has his quick victory, and now he'll talk to Jon Scheinman.
Well, it looks like the Matrix put Jake Rodriguez through the blender in that one. Tremendous body work. I mean, what was your strategy going into this fight?
Well, he was a short dude, you know. As long as I kept my stick out there, wouldn't be a problem. Kept my stick out there, couldn't get past the right or the left lead, and body shots pretty much took him out for the rest of the fight.
You mentioned he's a short, short guy. Is this part of the learning process to face a whole different variety of guys? You know, he was known as a pretty durable bulldog. I mean, let's face it, he had 3 times as many wins as you had coming in, 6-2. But you know, facing a different variety of guys, is that important going up the ladder?
Definitely, man. You know, my first 10 fights, I take all of these fights as a learning experience. It's something I'm gonna have to learn off. Watch my tapes, look at see what I'm doing wrong, and then when I get to the top, I'll be ready for that world championship.
Okay, off the top of your head, what do you learn from this fight?
The body is a good thing in GoPro.
But that wasn't the strategy coming in. I mean, you just sort of felt your way into that.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I figured the only thing he could possibly have was a hard hit, and I knew he wasn't going to hit me with too much. So if I kept him on the outside, and when I led him to them ropes, dig to the body because he's going to ball up, I knew he was intimidated by me in the first place. So the body shots took it.
Andre, you opened the fight with an uppercut that landed right on the chin, and then you kind of did a fancy pirouette kind of move. The guys at ringside down there gave you a little criticism and said, you know, why does he need to do this? Oh, maybe he's just trying to, you know, show the fans what kind of stuff he has. Do you think it's okay to showboat a little bit, or do you think you need to suppress that? I mean, what does it mean to you?
I mean, how much showboat did I really do? What they're doing down there, you know, I'm gonna have to say it, it's hating. You know, it's just some, it's announcers that agree with you and it's announcers that don't. I let them do their thing because I know by the end of my boxing career, I'm gonna be on top of the game. So I let them do that, you know. I've been doing what I've been doing in amateur my whole life.
So you're saying that's a part of your natural personality in the ring?
That's all it is, and you'll see it in the outside as well. You know, I'm a crowd pleaser, you know. And that's what the crowd like to see. They don't got a problem with it, so watch this day. So that's a form of hating to me. We call that hate.
Well, they were nitpicking a little bit. That was a pretty strong performance. I want to ask you, 3-0 now, obviously able to dominate a guy like this. Do you have a timetable on when you begin to really take on serious guys, or do you just want to get a few more of these learning bouts under your belt?
The next bout would definitely be I'm moving to 6 rounds, and the more I move up, the more experience I want in the ring with me. So I'm just looking forward to that right now. So that's all.
Electrifying Andre Dirrell goes to 3-0. Hope we see him again in the ballroom. Back to ringside.
All right, so Andre Dirrell improves and gets a quick knockout here. And we have more ballroom boxing coming your way, so don't go away. Welcome back to Ballroom Boxing. Dave Bontempo and Jon Saraceno. We told you before about the subplot of our main event. We'll get more into that during the fight. For a scouting profile, here's John Scheinman.
Dave, Henry Buchanan is one of the most, he has like the biggest entourage of all fighters in the DC area. I mean, this guy just has the feel and the charisma and sort of self-confidence that he is going to be a superstar in the sport. If you look at him in the ring, look how he carries himself. And at 8-0, you can't really argue with him. I still think he's a little green around the edges. He's got some learning to do, and tonight he's in for a very tough fight. Julio Jean, his record may be 5-4-1, but Chris Middendorf, the matchmaker, said this guy's opponents that he's lost to have all been undefeated, and he's been steadily getting better. There's a chance the upset might get sprung tonight.
All right, in that case, we are ready for the introductions. To get this started, here is Pat O'Malley.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to meet the combatants for this 8-round super middleweight ballroom brawl. This is the main event. And the man in charge when this 8-round bout commences is Bill Holmes. If a decision is necessary, it will be rendered by our 3 judges at ringside, Kenny Chevalier, John Gradowski, and Malik Waleed. To my right, in the blue corner, wearing the red and white trunks, he weighed in at 163 3/4 pounds. He comes to us via Haiti, now residing in West Palm Beach, Florida. His record, 5-4-1, 3 KOs. Please welcome Julio Mean Gene. To my left, out of the red corner, wearing the black trunks with silver. He weighed in at 168 1/4 pounds. He hails from Capitol Heights, Maryland. His record is 8-0. All 8 victories coming by the knockout. Please welcome back to the ballroom, Henry Sugar Poo Buchanan. Referee Bill Holmes with the instructions.
Well, the numbers really speak for themselves. We have a reach advantage for Julio Jean. Now fighting out of West Palm Beach, Florida, but originally from Haiti.
All right, so Julio Jean in the red trunks this evening. And Henry Buchanan gets it started with him. And the semi-grudge match is underway. And for those just joining us, at the top of the show, we mentioned how Henry Buchanan was overweight by 3 pounds, couldn't get it off. And rather than give it to the demands of Jean's corner and his people, said, the heck with it. I'll just give him my purse if he fights me. And his offer was taken.
It better have been taken.
But, you know, usually it's a bluff. But they'll say, it's a bluff. Yeah, I want you to lose the weight. He didn't want to lose the weight. And so, Henry Buchanan is just fighting to get his numbers up. And Julio Jean has already got a double triumph. And now he'll go for the trifecta if he can upset the unbeaten Henry Buchanan. Julio pounding the body, a right hand by Buchanan. Buchanan a pro since last March. Gotten his record up pretty quickly. Has had 15 rounds total, so he's been knocking guys out quickly. This is the type of fight that might be designed to test him and go longer. At some point you need those as Julio comes in with 4 shots.
Julio Jean got his boxing start very late, David. Didn't turn pro until 2003. He's already 36 years old. So will those legs be able to carry him the distance if it goes that far?
He's really caught between a rock and a hard place as Buchanan nails him. You want to last. You want to preserve yourself for the full 8 rounds, but you can't give rounds away. You can't walk into firepower early. Buchanan with the left hook. Right hand by Buchanan. Jab by Buchanan. It's a good stiff jab that got in. One of the better ones of the fight so far. There's a good right hand by Buchanan. As the first round into its waning stages.
Step back, step back, step back. Okay, first time, you're holding.
Warning on Buchanan for holding as we come to the final moments of a festive round 1. A good first round between Henry Buchanan and Julio Jean. As we suspected, they came at it rumbling with each other here. Should be good.
Well, there's no warm-up period in that
Let's
first
go,
round.
seconds,
That's what we
let's
like to
go.
see at the Ballroom series.
Let's go,
and that's
seconds,
what we are
let's
seeing.
go.
Guys went right for it. There was Buchanan firing and catching, getting some good action. And so into round 2 we go, scheduled for 8. Henry Buchanan in the black trunks. He's 8-0 with 8 knockouts from Capitol Heights, Maryland. And Julio Jean from Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and now Florida. 5-4-1, 3 knockouts. I'm Dave Bontempo along with Jon Saraceno and Jimmy Lang with us as well. And Jimmy had a chance to be in the Contender Series. So what was that like for you?
Oh, man, it was like nothing I ever did before. I got to meet 15 great fighters. Spent some time with Ray Leonard, Sylvester Stallone out in a new environment. It was great. One of the best experiences of my life.
People see it as a series. How does it differ from regular boxing that you've enjoyed before?
It is a series. It's a tournament style. There's 16 guys, and we just
okay. You can't be doing this holding stuff. Don't pull his head down. Don't hold him. Second time.
And the winner gets $1 million. Right?
$1 million winner. Yeah,
wow.
Grand prize. So,
hope you're going to take your announcing partners out here to, if you won the thing, to dinner or something.
Deal.
That's a deal you would make in a heartbeat.
Absolutely. That's good for me.
And imagine you get hot for a little while, and you can erase all years of obscurity leading up, and
Yeah, that big break.
It all pays off.
So nice little sideline. Good luck and continued success with all that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Jimmy, you fought here 10 times in the Ballroom Boxing Series. You've been a fixture here in Glen Burnie, Maryland. What's it like to sit ringside and not be up there?
I don't really like it that much, to tell you the truth. I love fighting here. It's my favorite place to fight. It's a great experience. Everything, the Wagners, they make it so nice to fight here. They do everything they can to help you, and I would love to come back here.
Is it strange to sit here ringside and looking up? I mean, you go to fights when you're not fighting anyway, but a little bit different role for you.
Well, this is my home, you know. I mean, I love fighting here, and yeah, it's a little strange. Right now, we got a good fight going on, though. I think that this right hand's starting to land for both of these guys. So I don't know. I'm kind of into this fight. Maybe it's not so bad. Maybe it's not so bad sitting here.
You got a good view.
They're throwing some pretty heavy punches here.
Best seat in the house as Buchanan fires a big right hand, and Julio Jean ties him up.
And Julio Jean is not backing up very much in this fight against Henry Buchanan.
You do get the sense that Jean is going to make one run in this fight. It's going to be early, and he's trying to make a stand right now. Good right hand to the body by Julio Jean, and right hand by Buchanan. The left hook comes across. So we come to the end of round 2. Henry Buchanan and Julio Jean are heating up in their scheduled 8-rounder.
Stop.
Take a look at some action from round 2. As Buchanan had Jean backing up and set him up with a good right hand and then put him on the follow-up. So we start round 3, and Henry Buchanan wanted to start it before Julio Jean was ready. Scheduled for 8. Buchanan is 8-0, 8 knockouts. Julio Jean 5-4-1 with 3 knockouts. We are coming to you from Michael's 8th Avenue, Glen Burnie, Maryland, on the long-running Ballroom Boxing Series, a staple of Glen Burnie, Maryland. And here's Julio Jean hopping in, making this a very interesting fight.
It's been very interesting. I really look for Sugar Poo to start taking over now a little bit. He's figured them out, I think. First 2 rounds were a little bit of a figuring out process. See if he starts to figure them out and take over.
And Jean is trying to stalk and make sure that doesn't happen, and he serves notice he intends to stay around with that good right hand. Good body shot by Buchanan.
Jimmy, how would you fight a guy like Julio Jean? What would be your game plan now knowing, let's say you go through the first 2 rounds, figuring out process?
I think with me, everything is the jab, you know. If the jab's working, everything's working. I just stand by and box him, you know, let him open himself up. Don't force it, don't go too he's the kind of guy that can really make you look bad. He's kind of like a Howard Eastman type, who's just, you know, he's durable, he's there, he's going to be throwing a lot of punches.
Okay, he can't take his head and push it down like that.
Step back, let him run into things.
And we have not seen, it's a good point, because we have not seen the jab so much from Buchanan. He's loading up with the right hand because that's working for him.
Hey,
and I guess it's easy to forget.
Take a step back.
To pave the way there.
Right. Absolutely. You got to, you know, since the beginning of boxing, the jab has been the key. So there's no secret there. Sometimes we forget that.
We've got a fight that is prototypical of the Ballroom Series.
Take a step back, take a step back.
As Henry Buchanan and Julio Jean into round 3 of the scheduled 8-rounder. As Jean works the body, these guys are taking runs at each other.
This is a great fight for Buchanan because he's used to knocking guys out. This guy's durable. Unless he gets caught with something real big here, I say he's going to make it the 8.
Julio takes a running leap. Bizarre move by Julio. He's up on his toes, running in. And it's such a strange move that Buchanan did not get a chance to counter. It's so weird to see a guy sprint his way in. But he came up with a new move as we come to the end of round 3.
Chopper.
All right, our main event, we've got 3 rounds done, and it's pretty competitive here. Buchanan and Julio Jean, they're taking shots at each other.
It's been an entertaining fight. Both fighters still in after 3 rounds. That's what we're used to here.
Parity is king here in this fight. It's been a night where the Dirrell brothers have been walking over their opponents as class fighters do. And now, this is more prototypical of the guys working their way up. Henry Buchanan 8-0 from Capitol Heights. And Julio Jean 5-4-1 with 3 knockouts. Buchanan in the black trunks, Jean in the red. I'm Dave Bontempo on ringside along with Jon Saraceno and Jimmy Lang. Glad you're with us and enjoying this. And this is an intriguing battle here with Julio Jean, an awkward guy to fight.
Step back, I was about to take up the point that Jimmy made before. He is a very awkward fighter. He can make you look bad. But Dave, he's been in all of his fights. I mean, his record is not sterling, 5-4-1, 3 knockouts. But 3 fights he's lost, 4 fights. He's been all of them and against undefeated fighters. So he's going to be in this for a while.
Another point to bring up is Buchanan's used to boxing and sparring with such world-class fighters, Joppy, Keith Holmes, those guys out of DC, and he gets in with a guy like this who isn't polished like those guys. It make you look bad. It's like a knuckleballer.
Right, different style.
He's countering, he's coming in from strange angles. At one point he got up on his toes and sprinted in with his hands up and threw a couple of shots. But a lot of different styles work for different guys. And for Julio Jean, this misdirection type play has done well for him. There's a jab that we're waiting for Buchanan. Now he goes to the body with it.
I'll be interested to see what Jon Scheinman has scored early in this fight. How close he has it.
Buchanan's a much more seasoned pro than 8-0, and I think that is a result of working with all those guys.
Jab in the right hand by Buchanan. As he moves in on Julio Jean, who, if you didn't know him better, you would say, he's fighting to survive a lot of times, but he has some unique angles that he springs out of and goes into an attack.
He's trying to punch to the body there a little bit. Do you sense at all, Jimmy, that Jean is going to be worn down and a war of attrition here, just kind of slide away eventually?
I think that he's in shape. He can go 8 rounds pretty easy, but you are going to see Buchanan take more control and figure him out a little more.
And this has been his easiest round as Buchanan figures out Julio
over there
and puts a good round in the column.
Let's
see what happens
on the break. Hitting on the break. Hitting on the break. Point. Box.
And we've got a point deduction for hitting on the break. That could change things a little bit.
768-7901.
Well, this is how a point gets taken away.
Diamond Ridge and Golf Courses. 2 great golf courses in one. In the Woodlawn area, that's Woodlands and Diamond Ridge Golf Course. Stop out and see us.
First, the referee's trying to separate.
Let's go, seconds.
I don't know if that
subtle.
Was, yeah, that was in on the inside.
But he did make that point right after that.
Gave him the business.
And so, we head toward the second half of the fight. Henry Buchanan and Julio Jean mixing it up here. Let's go to Jon Scheinman for his look after this contest so far. How do you have it, John?
Dave, that was a critical point deduction against Henry Buchanan. I have it 38-37 for Julio Jean going into the 5th round, and that was Buchanan's best round, and he only got 9 points for it. Pretty good pattern established here. Buchanan trying to get off with power shots, but he drops the left hand, and Jean's been coming over with the counter right time and time again. That's kept him in the fight. I think the point hurts Buchanan, and I think he's behind in the fight.
Julio Jean stalking in the red trunks.
Wow, he landed a couple of whistling right hands on Buchanan.
Well, the match just had that look about it that it could be close.
Break. Step back. Take a step back.
You've got the little wild card element with the point being taken away from Henry Buchanan. And let's see if that inspires Julio Jean. You know, it basically helps you get over a hump and maybe makes you think that you might steal this.
And Jean is banging him in all parts of his body, hitting Buchanan on the elbows, the shoulders, downstairs, upstairs. He's letting him know he's in a fight.
So Buchanan's riding with most of those shots. He's not hitting Buchanan flush, but the judges see those shots landing with the head turn.
Step back, take a
I
step
haven't seen him really get caught too flush yet.
You think Buchanan is one punch happy?
Break! Step back, step back.
I mean, he's getting frustrated. He's used to knocking people out right away. You know, when he came out in this round, he was using his jab. I think he threw 10, 15 jabs in a row, and he had this guy doing whatever he wanted. Then he abandoned it. Can't do that.
Right hand by Julio Jean and Buchanan on him.
When he's throwing his jab, Jean could do nothing.
Good jab getting in there by Buchanan, and the second one comes up short. You take a look at Julio Jean, John. He has that look of distress, that SOS look on his face all the time.
Stop.
And yet here he is winning some rounds.
You know what? I think he fooled me with it a little bit. I thought he was being worn down a little bit early on, but not the way he came out to start this round. His balance isn't quite right, though, Dave.
There's a low blow and a pretty blatant one by Buchanan.
You got him low there. Keep your punches up.
And he's
all right?
Lucky to escape a point because he got away with one because he threw two.
Yeah, referee Bill Holmes.
Stop!
Now that's another one.
You all right?
This could be worth the point.
You okay? Now listen, you got hit low because you pulled his head down.
Okay.
You're okay.
He makes
Put
a
your head down.
clarification.
Box!
Said he got hit low because he pulled the guy's head down.
Here you go with Julio coming in, and now he's holding the head, and that's his second one. He's holding the head, and so that is why no point is deducted from Henry Buchanan. Referee right on top, and that's a good call. So we're going to round 6. Henry Buchanan and Julio Jean scheduled for 8. Buchanan in the black trunks is 8-0 with 8 knockouts, and this is the fight that's extending him. Julio Jean is 5-4-1 with 3 knockouts. I'm Dave Bontempo along with Jon Saraceno, Jimmy Lang. We're here on Michael St. Avenue on a good pressure cooker type fight.
You see Jean trying to smother Buchanan.
Break, step back, take a step back.
Corner. Going to the body.
Break.
Jean just so awkward where he delivers punches and how he attacks. I don't know where he's going to come from next.
Well, he can kind of lull you to sleep a little bit because he's countering and he gets nailed there with the right hand. And then he comes out of the sides, he comes in from unique angles.
I think that shot hurt him, Dave.
Yeah, that was a good right hand by Buchanan.
Yeah, that might have been the best punch of the fight.
Buchanan tries to follow up and he goes low again. And again he was being held. How will this one be called?
Okay, you. Pulling his head down. That's your second time.
He's being held.
And I think Buchanan realizes he's got Jean on the run here just a little bit.
Good right hand by Buchanan. And then he punches to the body a little bit lower again. Also, Jean's trunks are up a little high. Has to be taken into account. Although that one was low without the trunks the way they were. This has to be a point then. This is the 3rd time. Well, the points are even. So the bad part for Julio Jean is not only do you get the point taken away, you get hit low too. That's a double. Big right hands here by Buchanan. And it's over just like that. A quick stoppage. As Julio Jean starts to run it again. I don't know about that one. He was running it again. That's a very quick stoppage.
Yeah, I think
that was over refereed.
And now Pat Pinellas, the head of the commission, is getting an earful from Jean's corner. They're nose to nose.
Yeah, you can't stop that guy. When you have the standing 8 count option, that's one thing, but since they're using the standing 8 count tonight, that was the time to do it.
And I don't know if referee Bill Holmes was directed by Pat Pinellas. I don't know to stop the fight. Or urged to. But that fight was stopped. And you know what? Referee's first job, protect Protect the fighter at all times. That's the way it was called. That's the way it'll go into the record books. 9-0 for Henry Buchanan, all by knockout. Here's a replay, Dave.
You know, he just had the point taken away. There's the right hand. Right hand coming in here. Referee coming in. Looks at him. Yeah, on second glance, from that view, what he looked at, who knows? So, that's what happens. Let's go to Pat O'Malley for the final numbers.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. The winner by TKO at 155 of round 6, Henry Sugarpoo Buchanan. Courtney's daughter on March 19th.
Let's get the input of the
Good
fighter
luck.
with Jon Scheinman.
Good night, everybody.
Henry, the crowd's booing this one, but you came away with the win. Kind of a rough and tough fight.
Yeah, it was just the kind of fight that I needed, you know. Let me know where I was at. He's an
By
experienced
the way,
guy.
Jimmy Lang's on the
This
contender.
is
I
my
think I
first
said the
8-rounder.
entertainer, the
I'm
contender.
not making no excuses, but maybe I get in a little teeny bit better shape and get him out of there early. But like I said, he was clearly hurt. I hit him with a lot of unanswered punches, and he didn't answer back. And he was about to go down anyway, so the best thing for the referee to do was to stop it before he get hurt, you know?
Did you give away your purse for this fight because you couldn't make the 168?
Yeah, I trained really, really hard to get down and weight, and I was a little dehydrated and fatigued, so I didn't look as strong as I normally look. But regardless of the fact, like I say, God is with me. He's making sure I'm victorious. He's been blessing me. You know, I can't look as good as I did the first time I fought here all the time. But what I basically got to do is just basically take my time, don't get frustrated, make sure that I set my punches up and get him out of there, you know, before that last trumpet sounds.
It seemed like to me early in the fight you were trying to land some power shots, but he kept coming over the top with the right hand, you know, and timing you with the counter shot. How frustrating was that?
Well, it was real frustrating. I would like to get him in the gym as a sparring partner because he's a real good fighter, and I like him, you know what I mean? But like I say,
one of the points they made at ringside was you work so often with world-class fighters in the gym that when you face an awkward guy like this, it's tough to adapt. Is that true?
It's totally true, you know what I mean? When you fight an awkward guy such as this guy, man, you know, he doesn't throw his punches the way you've been trained to duck. They come from any angle, so you just got to figure him out, and it took me like 6 rounds to figure him out. But once I really got his timing down, when I got him hurt, I didn't stop, and I was never going to stop. So the best thing for him is, you know, the reason why the fans are booing because, like I said, they paid their money, and they wanted to see him go all the way out. But regardless of the fact, referee did his job, you know what I mean? He stopped the fight, and I'm not going to complain about the whole demonstration.
Nothing to complain about also because he's 9-0 now with 9 knockouts. Henry Sugarpoo Buchanan winning in the ballroom. Let's go back to ringside.
All right, so Henry Buchanan runs this record up, and we will have more ballroom boxing when we come back. Welcome back to Ballroom Boxing. Dave Bontempo and Jon Saraceno. We saw a little bit of everything tonight, John, but in the final analysis, we saw some interesting stuff with that Henry Buchanan fight. He gives away his purse and still gets the win, though.
Fascinating night for Buchanan, and a night that I think was a learning experience for him, Dave. I think he picked up a lot in this fight, and Adrian Davis, his trainer, really got on him as he was going out for that final round. I think that was the impetus he needed to stop his opponent.
He was able to make the adjustment and go from there. Now, what about the Dirrell brothers? We see 2 quick wins here tonight. Now they're up to 3-0. How much more at this level do you think now they step up?
Tremendous young prospects. They really weren't able to show what they can do against significant opponents tonight. Those guys were overmatched. It's going to be a while before we really know if they're world-class fighters, but they have world-class talent at this point in their career.
Well, thanks for tuning in. For Jon Saraceno, Jimmy Lang, Jon Scheinman, and our fine crew, this is Dave Bontempo saying so long, everybody, and we'll see you next time on Ballroom Boxing.